Shir sponsor Louis Nishmas Ambiyak Sholom and Leah Basitzchok. We're holding in Bava Daf Lamed Aleph in the Mishnah in the third line. Zok the Mishnah. Shnei kadorim sheyim malchim zachar. So take kadorim means two pottery people, right? Potters, they create pottery, and they're walking one after another. The first one tripped and fell. And then the second one tripped by the first one. So the first one has to pay for the second one, because the first one fell and the second one tripped on him. So the first one is responsible for the second. Says the Gemara, what's that? We learned earlier in Machlekes. The Machlekes that we had was, do we all need Kal Pasheya or not? Nidkal Pasheya means, do you say that someone who falls, he's responsible for the fact that he fell? It's called Nidkal Pasheya. You slipped, you tripped, it's your fault. Do we look, that's what we're learning over here or not? Says the Gemara. Don't say that our missions are mayor that holds Nidkal Pasheya. And that's the reason it's Chayav. Even according to Rabbanan saying that he's anus or potter, he should have stood up and not stand up. Meaning, you're right. Maybe tripping is not a pshia. Tripping, you're allowed to fall. People fall. But now you fell, get up. Why are you staying on the ground? You stayed on the ground, and the second one fell because of the first one, so that's always obligated. But now, even if he did not have enough time to get up, he should have warned. So the machlekes over here in the svar, what is the obligation of the first one? To get up. I mean, if he had enough time to get up, he's obligated. If not. Or even if he didn't have enough time to get up, at least he had enough time to warn. Because he didn't have to get up, he should have warned. The Torah, he's not obligated to warn, because he is busy. He's preoccupied. Right now, a guy, just imagine the scene. The guy trips, falls on the floor. He's trying to get up. He picks himself up. He has all his merchandise. He's picking things. And the last thing in his mind is to start warning the guy behind him. I fell. So, do you say that you have to warn if you are not able to get up? Similar to Tanan, we're going to learn. We're learning the Mishnah. You have the first one is holding a beam, and the second one is holding a barrel. So if the guy with the barrel hit the beam, he's potter, the owner of the beam is potter. Because why do you hit me? Well, it's like you're going too fast. Like, when we drive a car, the guy in the back drove too. You should have driven in the same speed that I drove. But if it was a sudden stop, Balkoiro stood chayav. My love, are we talking about a normal stop? That he was omad lekasef. Lekasef means that he's adjusting the load on his shoulder. Meaning, he didn't do anything wrong by standing. He was normal to stand. But what do you want him to do? I want him to warn. So you're standing in a normal way. At least warn the guy behind you I'm standing. Right? Again, in our traffic situation, this is what we have. When a car stops, you have the red light that goes on. The lights are announced to the one behind them stopping. So you have to warn it. So you see the warning you have to do. Now here, you could ask the question, it's not exactly the same, because here he didn't fall. He's standing in a normal way. The guy is schlepping a beam, and he's standing in the normal way. So it makes more sense that here you have to warn more than the guy who fell on the floor. But the warning now is not mechal like that. So the more he didn't stand to adjust. He stood to relax. It's a longer stand. And that's not something which is normal. I would like I said my pater, but you want to tell me that if he just came to adjust his load, which is normally pater? At the time, say, look at the next part of that Mishnah. If he did warn pater, and then you want to tell me that the Reisha is not probably didn't warn. Problem is that he stood there normally. So you should have just been like that for the first part in itself. We're talking about the Shomad Lafush. If he stood to relax. To adjust, Potter. Why are you telling me that the discussion is regarding warning? says, even when he stood to relax in the middle of the street, he couldn't warn. So it's like, basically what we're saying is like this. When he stood to adjust and he's busy adjusting, the more understands, he doesn't have to warn his patur. But if he stood to relax, if you stand in the middle of the street, you have to then you're obligated, unless you warn. Warning is getting out of it. But it doesn't mean in a normal way, or if a person is busy something else, does he have to warn? Similar to Ashma, Akadorim, Zeragogim. Kadorim is the ones that create pottery, and Zeragogim is the one who do glass. The way one after another. Nitkala Rishon Minofal, one tripped. Nitkala Sheni Barisha, and then the second one tripped and fell in the first. Vashlishi Basheni, and then the third one tripped in the second one. Right? So you have a scenario. You have person A, B, and C. A trips, so now he's nitkal, that's the classic nitkal. And then you have the second one who is tripping on the first, and you have the third tripping on the second. Now what's the deal? Rishon chaya b'nizki sheni, sheni chaya b'nizki shlishi. So the first one needs to pay. He's responsible for the second one. And the second one is responsible for the third one. The first one that fell is responsible for the second. The second one that caused the third one to fall is responsible for the third one. And if they all fell because of the first one, so then the Rishus chayav everybody. And if they warn each other, the patur. Right? So the first one fell, the second is responsible for the second. The second fell, responsible for the third, unless the first one caused the third one to fall. And unless they weren't. Meaning they fell, they didn't have time to get up. And they're saying that he's supposed to warn. So you see, warning is even when a person is busy falling. Kasha on, the question is, on the first bundle of mine, I like that question. Says the Gemara, you want to tell me if you understand your patur? If so, on the Tani Seifo, meaning, sorry, I skipped. They could have stopped. Meaning, we want to say that we're going like a first mandala, like a Yochanan. They could have stood. Now, if you stand, you could have stand, but they stayed laying down on the street. So you're saying, you can't stand, so at least warn. But they could do both. So, my lamod, lo shayim lamod. Well, v'layim lamod, my potter, what do they potter? Ya'acheh, the tani seifo, miziru zeh potter. So in the end, if you warn each other, potter, they flew everything, no, why mechag this in that case itself? Shayim lamod, they should have stood. Avalayim lamod, ptorim. Just say, they potter. It says, come on, kavash falan, they have to go down lamod, kiziru zeh ptorim. That's the condition. A person fell in the street. You had enough time to get up. I would say, if you didn't get up, now you're responsible. I don't give you a warning. Why are you laying down the street? Say, as long as I'm warning, I'm fine, even though I did have enough time to get up. Okay. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav. Says Rav. Now, the following Gemara, there's a few ways to understand the Gemara. There's a few girsas and a few ways. We're going to focus here on two girsas because that's the girsas that the Rashi and Tosfos refer to. We're going to learn the first way. It's a short Gemara, and it's really the two girsas are really very connected to each other because they're two ways of understanding something from one into another. So we'll start with how Rashi concludes that's the pshat, and that's a Tosfos also. And then we'll see the other pshat quickly. So what's it like this? Rishon chayav b'nizki sheni, ben b'nizki gufoy, ben b'nizki mon. The first one, we said there's three people. First one fell, he's obligated to pay for the second one. The second one fell, he has to pay for the third one. It says there's a difference between the first and the second. The first one, why? So Bush Pshat, the way Rashi explains, we hold in this Bryce, this case, we're going with Rabbi Meir, then nitkal pashia. Someone who falls, it's his fault. The first one, nitkal pashia, because he tripped for no reason. The second one is not pashia. Why the second one is not pashia? Because the second one, he tripped because of the first. He didn't see the first one falling. He tripped because of the first. So the second one is not a pashia. Only the first one is a pashia. And then that's when it comes to a chiluk. What's a chiluk? So let's see the Gemara inside again. Here's where the Gersars differ. Rashi's where we maskano is niski guf niski mamonoi, referring to gufoi umamonoi of the first of the mazik. The goof of if the second one trips on the body of the first, or the second one trips on the vessel of the first. In both cases, it's chayav. Because it's kapasheh. So he fell, so he himself is causing a problem, and whatever he threw on the street is also a problem. Sheni chayav b'nizki shlishi, the second one is chayav, the third one, b'nizki gufoy, avaloi b'nizki momonoi. The second one is chayav on the third one when his body hurt the third one. But not when his kalim, when his vessels hurt the third one. Then you're not chayav. So one second. First one was going to come to explain. You need cup of shower. If you say that tripping is your fault, she not the chayav. What's the difference in the first and the second? You need cup of shower for the Rishonai Potter. So why is the first one chayav? How do you understand between the first and the second? Answer the one with base. Rishon Vade Peshehu was saying why like her mayor need cup of shower. Sheni a goof mechayev the havle lamud v'loyaman. Sheni is not peshehu, but the tiny is she get back up. On his moment, he said, I didn't do this board. Meaning, the first one is Pesheas, he's responsible for everything. The second one, it's not his fault. The reason why he fell is because the first one. It's not his fault. But if a person, even if it's not your fault, you become a fault. You should get up. As we learned earlier, everybody agrees. If you get up, you can't stand laying down in the street forever. The fact that you're not the reason why you tripped is very nice, understood. But still, the second one you have to get up from where you are. But your kalim, your vessels, that you didn't do. I didn't throw my vessels on the street. It's a bar. Who created the bar? The first one, not the second one. So therefore, the second one is patur on the kalim. Because I didn't do it. I biro love onakari saying this bar I did not create. And because I didn't create it, I'm not have it. Now, discussion, part of the issues with the Rishonim is, so the Rishon should be chayav. Right? Who created this bar? Who put on this kalim? The Rishon. So a problem with that, the Gemara doesn't address it. But at least the second one is patur on his kalim. Says the Gemara, Meisivei, when we the question, it says everyone is chayav in his guf, and everyone is patur in the moment. You just said the first one was chayav in the moment on his kalim there mazel. We're talking even the first one. So one loy the b'ayim rishon, except the first one. No, but kulam k'tani, that's everyone. And here it's an interesting point that the word kulam. How many people are mazik in our case? 2. So the word kulam can be used for 2. The verse says it's only 1. It's only the second one, not the first. The verse says it's kulam. Here's a raya that the word kulam can be used for 2 people. It's a discussion. Can you say kulam and 2, or kulam has to be at least 3? I'm allowed to have a kulam and nizokim. All of the nizokim talk about the ones that got hurt. That's what we're referring to. Kulam and nizokim. Right? So, says the Gemara, how do you explain that? Bishma filu Rishon and the Ketani Kulam. Says everybody. And then why Bishma Kulam, then Nizokim. Just say that the Nizokim that got hurt from the first, you want to say that the Nizokim, meaning from second and on, the chayav only on the goof and not on the keli. So just say Nizokim. Hello, Marovo. So we'll know. We should chayav bim is kegufay the sheni with kimon the sheni. More that changes it around. The more changes around, it says no. Gufay mamor doesn't refer to the person himself. it refers to the one who got hurt. Until now we said, Rishon Chayav when his body hurt, Rishon Chayav when his vessels hurt, Sheni is Chayav when his body hurt, Sheni is Potter when his vessels hurt. Talk about the guf and kalim of the mazik. Now the Gemara switches it around. And so we talk about the guf and kalim of the nizak, the one who got damaged. And that's the Gemara says, Ela Marova, Rishon Chayav b'miskei guf the Sheni, b'miskei amon the Sheni. He's obligated for the guf of the second person and the moment of the second person. The Sheni Chayav b'miskei shlishi, the second one's Chayav b'miskei shlishi, b'miskei gufoy avaloi b'miskei amon. He's chayav to pay for the guf of the shlishi, not the moment of the shlishi. Why? What's the difference? My time is avaloi bor. Limited bor shechiyav v'sakel. Oh, so I'll tell you why. He's considered to be a bor. Meaning, the first person is Adam Amazik, for instance. He fell, it's his fault. So whatever he damages is his fault. When he's damaged the body of the second, or the kalim, Adam Amazik is having both. The second one is not his fault. So how do you look at the second one? The more understands now, the second one, you look at him, you categorize him as a bor. He's not Adam. He's a pit. A bor is potter on kalim. Every bor is potter on vessels. So he's chayav on the Adam and he's potter on the vessels. So it says the Gemara, the second one is chayav on the guf of the shlishi, but he's potter on the kalim of the shlishi, but he's a bor. Says the Gemara, that's good according to Shmuel. That learns that every takolo could be a bar. A human being can be a bar too. Rav said, the definition of bar is only something that is ownerless. If you own it, it's not a bar. The person cannot be a bar. A human being cannot be a bar according to this. Because a human being is always owned by himself. So how can you say that you consider the second one to be a bar, and therefore he's chayav only in the body of the third one, now in the guf, now the kalim of the third one? He's not a bar, because the bar has to be after. It says, they go back to the original pshat. We talk about guf and moment of the mazik, not the nizak. Meaning the rishon, when his body caused damage, he's chayav. When his own vessels cause damage, he's chayav. The second one, when his body caused damage, he's chayav. When his vessels caused damage, he's potter. Because he didn't do it. It's not his fault. He didn't create the bar. For the kasha of kulim chayovin, it says, we learned in the price it said, they're all chayav on the guf, and they're all potter on the kalim. You said the first one is chayav on his kalim. Says the Gemara, Tigomar of Alder, Bamenyume, Kamid Ravino, Shahusku, Kalim, the kalim. What hurt? We're talking about here that the vessels got hurt. Meaning, we say, the Rishon is chayav on his body, his mazik, and on his vessels, they're mazik. But his vessels are what? His vessels are bor. Either because he was mafkeret, according to Rav, or according to Shmuel, even if he's not mafkeret. But the vessels of the first one, they are bor. Bar is chayav on guf, not on kalim. So he's saying this. The Rishon is chayav when his body is mazik, and the Rishon is chayav when his kalim are mazik, but only when his kalim are mazik and adam, not when his kalim is mazik and kalim. The second one is chayav when his guf is mazik, is potter when his kalim is mazik, regardless when it's mazik. And when the Brisa says everybody's chayav on the guf, and everybody's potter on the kalim, referring to that there is something that all potter on kalim. What is that? Kalim, mazik, kalim. If the vessels of the first hurt the vessels of the second, he's potter. And when the vessel of the second hurt the vessel of the third, he's potter. Why? The vessel of the second is potter because he didn't create this bar. The vessel of the first is potter because it's considered to be a bar, and the bar is potter on the kalim. So that's what it means. They all are chayav in the guf, and they all are potter on the kalim. There is a case in the kalim that they're all potter. But really, we talk about the guf of the first and the kalim of the first. And we're saying that in both of them, he's chayav in both. Just our cases that you potter because the bar is potter and kalim. And then we talk about the kalim of the second and the bar and the guf of the second kalim of the second. That's the girsa that we have. So according to this girsa, just to review, The Mahalach Gemara is we're starting by saying the goof of the first and the kalim of the first hurt is chayav in both. The goof of the second is chayav. The kalim of the second is patur if it hurt. The Gemara has a problem with it, changes the gears to say the opposite, and then it goes back to the first one. The other gears that we have over here, just to mention in short, is the Gemara starts with the opposite gears. The Gemara starts with the opposite gears, saying that the Rishons was mazik the goof of the second and the kalim of the second, and on that he is chay. And the second was mazik the goof of the third, and the kalim is chayav, and the kalim of the third is patur. Why? Because he is considered to be a bor. He is considered to be a bor, like the Gemara said later. That's the Gemara saying, and that Gemara said according to this first gear. So later, that's what he's saying in the beginning. So now the Gemara brings up brayso. The Gemara doesn't focus on the fact why he's considered to be bor. The Gemara just asks a question. We see a brayso that says clearly that that all of them are chayav and his guf and patur on the kalim, and you just said that the first one is chayav on the kalim of the second. So then the Gemara goes and changes the girsa to say the girsa that we have. In other words, the opposite. To change the girsa is the way we have, and then the Gemara goes with that, and the Gemara then has a problem with that because according to Tais, the Gemara goes on to say that what will be the reason that you're patur on the niski kalim, meaning according to the second girsa, what will be the Gemara has a problem to say that you chayav niski kalim, because the Gemara understands like that once you're mafkir, you nizakim, you're patur. Mafkir nizakim, the Gemara understands that mafkir nizakim la'achan nefilip shir patur. What does it mean? It goes back to the previous sugi. The previous sugi we learned that there's two things that a person is chayav when he falls, when he trips. One is the fact that something fell from his hand, and the other one is that once he fell and he was mafkir something, it's called mafkir dezakov le'achar nefilip shir. You're mafkir your vessels after you fell. So we learn now the remaining holes that you chayav. The more you want to say that with this we disagree around here, according to this kirsa, and we all want your mafkir, you're mafkir. So that's what the Gemara asks. Why is the Rishon chayav on the kalim of his own kalim? Why is he chayav on the kalim of his kalim ramazik? Mafkir zakav la'achar nefilip shir should be patur. So that's why the Gemara goes back according to this gear. So to the original thing, it says the Rishon is chayav on the kalim of the second, and the sheni is chayav only on the goof of the second. So two different gear starts over here in the Gemara. So sorry, I said the mafkir is not going to you're going to Rabban the whole the nitkal is not per share. And the Gemara says that Rava says Gufa is kamoni the Rishoy. And the last sentence is like we said before, the honest because he was honest. Okay, so the second gear needs more beer. We're going to leave it with that. Just wanted to point it out that the second gear starts with the opposite direction. But the first gear that we have, the way Rashi to conclude, is very, very glad in our Gemara. And the only one thing we have a problem with is why, if you're saying the second one did not create the bar, so the first one should be chayav on the kelim on the second. Let's see the last sentence over here, the Gemara, before we get to the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Omar man, if they all fell because of the first one, we should chayav niski kulam. And we should chayav on the other ones. Machlas rishoin hechi nofel. What's the case that they fell because of the first one? So the Gemara, Papa Omar de Pasco leorche kishaldo. He was in the way like a shaldo, which means like an evelo, like a dead animal. And we're talking about they filled up the entire way. So the first one fell on him and the second fell on him. And the second one, Dharma says, like chutro means the stick that a blind person uses to when he walks. What's the difference between the two pshatim? It says it tastes like this. Keneveleso means you're doing a straight line. Says the first one, Dharma, the Rishon is chayav for both people that fell on him. Second one says no. Once the third one saw the second one fall, he should be careful. You see the guy's falling, just stop. That's what he says. We talk about it. Chadis Semusa means a stick of a blind man goes in an angle. Doesn't go in a straight line. So the first one fell, but the first one was a little bit ahead of the second. The second one fell. He was a little bit ahead of the third. Right? They're now walking right next to each other. So the third one sees the second one ahead of him falling. He says, hey, what's going on up there? Then he falls also. Why did he fall? Because what's in the way causing him to fall is at an angle. Then the first one was chayav for both. But if he was in a straight line, then he's not chayav for the third one. The third should have realized the second one fell and he should have stopped. Okay, so this end is daf.